I'm Margot Fox, Senior Director of Engagement and Education at the Jewish Federation of Greater Indianapolis. I want to wish you all a Chag Sameach, a happy Chanukah. We're excited to have you with us tonight. As the high holidays came and went, we were touched by the incredible work and effort that organizations and individuals put into creating vibrant and meaningful experiences for each other. And in considering what comes next, we were challenged to think about Chanukah in a way that was scary. What will we really miss in a virtual Chanukah in 2020? Being a holiday associated with home celebration, shelter-in-place Chanukah isn't too bad, but we knew we would miss sharing our stories with each other as we weren't able to engage in parties like we usually do. Those little moments of connection when we were in person, the moments that bring light into our lives, of watching the candles burn with loved ones, friends and family and neighbors. Not only does the miracle of the oil make the story a special one that we want to hear year after year, but hearing it from those closest to us brings a whole new light to the experience. With that, we turn to you, our Jewish community, for inspiration. For some of us, while some of us may Menorah hop from candlelighting to candlelighting, this year's miracle is on Zoom. And the miracle is that we could last another 8 days of Zoom calls. We wanted to hear new stories from friends, and we thought that the Menorah would be a great place to center our stories. Through this, we connect with each other in our digital world. We'll hear from 3 community members tonight as they share the stories of the special menorahs in their lives. While each story starts with the menorah, it travels in love, family, and loss. In addition to hearing their stories, we gather on Zoom and celebrate the festival through polls, trivia, word clouds, and other interactive moments to share our collective menorah story. So let's have fun together. Throughout tonight, we want to hear from you, and we'll be using some interactive technology to hear your voice and your stories. In order to participate, you'll need to have an internet-capable device like a tablet, a smartphone, or even you can also use your computer. I'm going to turn it over to David Heilbronn, who will walk us through an example with 2 questions.
Hello, Margot, thank you for the introduction. So as Margot mentioned, we're going to try to make this as interactive as possible. So what we're going to do is we're going to use a tool called Mentimeter. So what you want to do is grab your smartphone or some device you can use the internet on. We're going to open tonight with hearing your thoughts and use this tool throughout the night to kind of gather some feedback and get your opinion. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen real quick so we can see what's going on. Great. And what we're going to do is we have an opportunity to hear from you right now. So what you need to do is at the top of the screen, you see 2 things. You see a question, what comes to your mind when you think of Chanukah? And you see some instructions about going to www.menti.com and using the code 760767. What you're going to do is you're going to take your phone or whatever you have, access the internet, type in that address, and you'll have the opportunity to put in this code. I see some people already putting in answers, which is great. On your screen will pop up an opportunity to put in some answers to this question. You can put in as many answers as you want. So if you have multiple things that come to your mind when you think of Chanukah, enter as many as you want. You'll see the more that someone enters a word, or the more that the group enters the word, the bigger it becomes in our word cloud. Be sure to click submit as you put your words in. And after you're done submitting your words, as many as you want, you'll have the opportunity to go to your next question. As this poll will take 2 questions, and we'll show how that works in a second. But we're going to give this just a minute as we see a lot of answers coming in, which is great. I see things like latkes coming up heavily in our collective thought of what comes to your mind with memory. Things like light and strength as well. And things that we really hope to see tonight too. Things like warmth and the feeling of connection and strength to other people too. So keep putting in. We see a lot of words. Someone even got to figure out how to put a little emoji up there of a gift box, which is great. So we're going to use this tool a couple times throughout the night. If you have any questions or you run into any issues, the chat will be open in the Zoom webinar for answers or any questions like that. This is great. People are putting in more and more. We're going to let this run for just another minute here and see what comes up on our collective thought here. So get your last thoughts in here. We see presence and sufganiyot, hope also adding, which is amazing. And that's what I hope some of our stories tonight from our community members share, that this idea of hope and what we still have and what we want to hold on to. So we're going to close the results in just 10 seconds. We're going to start this 10-second timer to get our results in. So get those last words in. Amazing. So the voting is now closed. It may change a little bit. We have amazing things coming up, and we have a menorah on here too, which is great. And the second part of the challenge was what do you use to light your menorah? Do you use oil, old school, let's call it? Do you use the religious school candles in the blue box like I do? Do you use all color, or do you like multiple colors? And we're going to see how our group did here. Oops. So if we did, I don't know if we actually got to the next question, that's fine. Be sure next time you go through, when you're submitting answers, you click next question as well, so we can get some results here as well. But I love to see this, this great, amazing word cloud we have. So tonight, what's gonna happen is we're gonna have these interactive moments throughout the night. We're gonna switch between some stories. We're gonna hear from a community member, Barbie Steneker, in just here a second. But we're going to switch back and forth between these story moments and these interactive moments. So keep your phones handy, but sit back, relax, and enjoy a nice evening, having a nice time Hanukkah together. So as I close this, I want to welcome to our stage. I'm going to invite her to turn on her sound and her video. Barbie Steneker here. I think we hear her.
There it is.
There she is. So Barbie submitted her story for our Menorah submission. She's got her Menorah right there with us. And we're going to feature some stories tonight that have some deep meaning about what not just the Menorah means, but what where it takes us and the places it's been. So Barbie's here to share our story tonight, and I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, David. So this menorah, which I'm holding up, so hopefully you can also see that it is the metal that we think about when we think of things from Israel, and it has the Hebrew letters right there also saying Israel. So I have no idea when my parents got this menorah. I'm assuming it was after 1948 just because of the word Israel on it in the Hebrew letters, but I really don't know. I do not remember Hanukkahs without it. So it was, it had to have been there by 48. And at 48, I was 5 years old. So I have no memory of menorahs before that one, but this is the one that is my family menorah. So this is one my family always used. And one of the very cool things about it is that it has a music box that I'm not sure when it quit working. I know it was still working when I used it with my own children, but I don't think my grandchildren ever got to hear it. But you can hear, it's the old-fashioned little thing that spins around with the little metal things that make the little prongs make the music. And it played Rock of Ages. So this menorah is very special to me for all of those reasons. And in my mind's eye, even though I now purchase but don't always use the fancy candles, I also buy the boxes that the temples sell of just the multicolored ones. But in my mind's eye, it has in it those straight, no fuss, no flurry, orange candles that dripped into a pile of paraffin under the piece of paper, the wax paper that mother would put this menorah down on. And there was enough paraffin done at the end that you could have made the candles all over again. So obviously there wasn't much of it disappearing as they do today. When Marcia Goldstein first asked me if I had a menorah that I would like to share, this one, of course, immediately came to mind. But menorahs are very, very special to me anyway, probably because of this one. And as my brother and sister and I grew up, got married, had our own families, the Hanukkah party was always at Aunt Barbie's house. So because the menorahs were the central part of it in my mind, I have accumulated through the years menorahs so that every kid that would be in my parents' grandchildren's generation will be able to have a menorah that comes from Aunt Barbie's house, one that we, I'm sure, use during some of the family Hanukkah parties. So the kids are all grown now and gone their separate directions also, so we rarely all get together. When we do, obviously, it's very special moments. And hopefully they will always think of Aunt Barbie and menorahs when they celebrate Hanukkah. That's my story, David. Okay, there's Michelle. You must be next.
I guess I'm next.
Okay, go.
Yes, David. Yes, thank you, Barbie. And I'm Michelle Bukai, the Israel and Overseas Director at the Jewish Federation. Throughout the evening, we're going to have interactive moments. Like before, we're going to use Mentimeter. So get out your phone and or other device, whatever it is that you're using, your tablet, get it ready. And we're going to start with 2 trivia questions. Number 1, true or false? We learn about the Chanukah story in the book of Maccabees. And the second question, true or false? The word Chanukah in Hebrew means miracle. And now, so get out your phone. You have your menti.com. The code, you see it on the top, 9918064. You put that in, and then you can put in your vote for true or false. And remember, you submit and then you go to the second question.
So it looks like we have some votes coming in. I'm going to put the timer on so we can kind of.
And as these answers are coming in, if you're having an issue with the Menti, put your question in the chat and we'll be able to answer it. David put the code in the chat, 9918064. And David, let us know. Oh, we have another 8 seconds to finish your vote. And a little later in the program, we're going to check back to learn the answer. So be sure to stick around and see how you did.
Thanks, Michelle. We'll hear more from Michelle later on. She's our official trivia giver, trivia asker. So we heard Barbie's story and we had a lot of submissions, wonderful submissions for this program. We can't feature everyone in live storytelling, so what we wanted to do is to feature everyone's story at least. So throughout the night too, in addition to interactive moments, we'll have some photo and story montages, a few minutes here and there to quickly understand some stories. You can of course always go to the Jewish Federation's website for our digital scrapbook of all these stories to take them in and at your leisure. For now, enjoy.
Thank you for sharing such beautiful and meaningful stories. Now let's check back and see how we did on our first round of trivia. As a reminder, we had 2 questions. Number 1, true or false? We learn about the Hanukkah story in two books of Maccabees. Second one, true or false? The word Hanukkah in Hebrew means miracle. Let's see how we did on these questions. The first one is true. The story in the book of is in the book of Maccabees, but it isn't part of the Hebrew Bible. It is canonized by numerous Christian denominations and appears as part of their scripture. And what about our second question? The meaning of Hanukkah in Hebrew. That one is false. The word actually means dedication, which is most appropriate since after the victory over the Greeks, the temple was rededicated as a Jewish space. Now let's see how the group did. Let's see whether we got most of ours correct or not.
It looks like in the first one, we got the majority correct. And in the second one, show the results. Everyone got this one correct. We're a smart bunch here. That's great.
Well, those were our first 2 trivia questions, and we started out easy for you. It gets tougher from here. We'll have 2 more trivia questions right now and hear the answers a little later in the program. So get out your smartphone, your tablet, as our next 2 questions come up. False. Chanukah or Chanukah always starts on the 25th day of the Hebrew month of Kislev, although the date changes from year to year on our secular calendar. And question number 4, true or false? The spelling of the holiday name is standardized as Chanukah, spelled as you see it on the screen. So now go to menti.com on your phone or tablet, enter the code, and you see it on top, 4914132. And the questions will appear and you select your answers. There are 2 questions, so remember to select next question to answer them both. And we're going to have a timer going in a moment.
And we did so well in the first one. We got to keep it up this time, right?
All right, I'm doing it too.
So another 8 seconds, get your last votes in here.
Okay, 3, 2, 1, and it's done. A little later in the program, we will check back to learn the answers, so be sure to stick around and see how you did. Our next Menorah story is one from family that is far away physically, but close in our heart. Hedi Pustai joins us from way far away in Budapest, in Hungary. They are a partner community through our partnership with the Western Galilee in Israel. So enjoy Hedi's story about her menorah.
Hello everyone, my name is Hedi Pustai and I work for the organization Partnership Together, who has a great friendship with the Jewish community of Indianapolis. Thank you very much for inviting me to introduce my Chanukkiyah, and I'm going to tell you a short story about it. My father visited Israel in 1988 right after they got divorced with my mom. And he fell in love with Israel. And maybe he even had decided to stay there if he hadn't had me. But for his bad luck, I was here as a 3 years old girl and was waiting for souvenirs from Israel. So he brought some keychain and a kippah, typical Israeli stuff on the old market of Jerusalem. And he also picked this heavy iron Chanukkiyah. He arrived home and he put the Chanukkiyah on his bookshelves. And the only time when I saw him using this Chanukkiyah was when a soccer player, a professional player who lived that time above us in the building where we lived, he was listening to his TV very loud, and my father in these occasions caught the Chanukkiyah, the iron Chanukkiyah, and was beating the gas pipes to sign him that the TV is too loud. So only in these cases I saw this weird thing in my father's hand. Many years later, when I was already 24, I decided to go on birthright. That was my first Jewish experience. And since then, I've been an active member of the Jewish community of Budapest. And a few years ago, my father was standing next to his bookshelf and he took the Chanukkiyah and he said that, take it, at least you know how to use it. So that's how I received this Chanukkiyah, and that's how I want to wish Chag Sameach to all of you. Many hugs from Budapest.
Thank you, Hetty, for such a wonderful story. It makes us understand that Jews around the world are all together as we celebrate this Hanukkah and this holiday of freedom. And how wonderful to hear about a special menorah and a memory from someone so far away and yet so close to us. Now let's check back in and see how we did on our second round of trivia. As a reminder, we've had two questions. The first one, true or false? Hanukkah always starts on the 25th day of the Hebrew month of Kislev, although the date changes from year to year on our secular calendar. And number 4, true or false? The spelling of the holiday name is always standardized as Chanukah. Let's see how we did. The first one is true. We always celebrate Hanukkah anywhere from late November through December, depending on the year, but it's always consistent on the Hebrew calendar. And our fourth question, that one, folks, is false. Because the holiday is a transliteration of a Hebrew word, there is no correct spelling. You often see it spelled instead, Chanukah. However, people usually use a spelling that has 8 letters, one for each night of Hanukkah. Now let's see how the group did. Let's see if we got the mostly true, correct or not.
So it looks like our group did very well in this first question.
They sure did. And how about the second one, David?
Let's see. Everyone got it.
100. Excellent. That would be, realize the spelling of Hanukkah would be a wonderful question on a spelling bee. Along with Chanukkiyah, there are other symbols of the holiday, like the dreidel, and they are not only for spinning. In my family, a dreidel can be an edible cake. I'm pleased to share the next video with you, demonstrating how easy it is to create one in your own home. How to make a dreidel cake. With many of us sheltering at home, we're looking for fun things to do that are also creative and a way to celebrate Hanukkah. One way is to make a dreidel cake. It's very simple. Just make a 9 by 13 cake Take it out of the pan and put it on a large cookie sheet. Choose whatever flavor you like best. Do use a large cookie sheet because you'll need extra room at the top. Measure from the bottom 4 inches and mark it using a toothpick. Do the same thing on both sides, and then also mark the middle of your cake. Using a knife, cut out the 2 triangles and put them together to form the stem of your dreidel. Of course, you'll need to clean up your pan just a little bit before you ice it. But when you do, you have a dreidel cake. Happy Hanukkah.
Our 2 rounds of trivia were about the holiday of Chanukah in general. Yes, I just saw, Margot, you wrote, I'm hungry. I'm hungry too. So the first questions were about Chanukah in general, but let's talk about menorahs. We'll have 2 more trivia questions right now and hear the answers a little bit later in the program. As a reminder, grab your smartphone as the next 2 questions are up. True or false, a Hanukkah menorah, a Chanukkiyah, must have room for 8 candles, all on the same level, plus an extra helper candle, the shamash, at a higher level. Number 6, true or false? If you have a box of 44 Hanukkah candles and light your menorah every night, you'll have enough for all 8 nights of the holiday. Again, go to menti.com on your phone or tablet and enter the code that's coming up in a moment. 14, 27, 28, 4. I'm sounding like bingo. The questions are going to appear. Select your answers. There are 2 questions, so remember to select next question to get them both. And we have a timer going, 26 seconds left.
So just 10 seconds left to get your questions in. I see the number going up a little bit more. We're getting more in. Great.
Okay, we will check back to learn the answers a little later in the program, so stick around and see how you did.
Thanks, Michelle. We'll have another kind of little montage here of some stories. We had amazing stories, including some great stories about some menorah collections that we have, not just one special menorah, but many menorahs that people own and use. So feel free to enjoy.
Let's check back in and see how we did on our third round of trivia. As a reminder, we had 2 questions. Number 5 was, a Hanukkah menorah, a Chanukkiyah, must have room for 8 candles, all on the same level or separate, plus an extra helper candle, the shamash, at a higher level or separate. If you have a box of 44 Hanukkah candles and you light one every night, you'll have enough for all 8 nights of the holiday. Let's see how we did on that one. Number 5 is true. We must have room for 8 candles, all on the same level, plus the helper candle at a higher level, or some Hanukkah have a little separate on the same level. So that is absolutely true. On number 6, it was also true. If you do the math, you need 44 Hanukkah candles so that you have enough for each night. A few boxes of Hanukkah candles, however, have an extra candle just in case you break one. Now let's see how the group did. Let's see how our scoring was on those questions, David. Oh, look at that. We did very well. 92% correct on the first one. And let's see about the other one. That was a math question. 83%. Very well done, everybody.
It's always the Hanukkah math that gets everyone. So we're coming up to our last round of trivia.
And we've come to our last round of trivia. We'll have 2 more trivia questions now, and we'll hear the answers towards the conclusion of our program. So get out your phone, get out your tablet, and let's deal with questions 7 and 8. True or false? Chanukah celebrates the victory of a small group of Jews led by Judah Maccabee, Judah the Hammer, over the Greeks led by Antiochus. The Maccabees, after defeating the Greeks who turned the temple in Jerusalem into a Greek temple, rededicated the temple in Jerusalem as a Jewish worship space. And number 8, true or false? No matter where in the world you live, the dreidel, a gambling game long associated with Chanukah, has the same 4 letters, Nun, Gimel, Hey, Shin. So go to menti.com and enter the code that is coming up, 50 63 32 5. The questions will appear. You vote true or false. Remember to do both questions. And the timer is a ticking. Is it? Do we have a timer? And we've got a timer. We've got 1 minute. Bum, 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 bum.
So make sure you go over and enter that next question too. It's 2 questions in each of these. This is our last round. So for anybody who's keeping score at home, this is the one to get them right.
And we've got 5 seconds to go. And we will check back to learn the answers a little later in the program. So stick around and see how you did. Our final menorah story comes from a young woman who is new in our community, but making a big impact already. Einav is a young Israeli emissary who's spending a year in Indianapolis together with Maya, another young Israeli. They are this type of emissary work is called shinshinit for female. And since there are 2, Einav and Maya, they are shinshiniot. They're 18 years old. They just finished high school in Israel, and they opted to go for a year of community service somewhere in the world to bring Israel culture into another community before they go to the army when the year is up. So Einav and Maya are here in Indianapolis. It's a little difficult now because of COVID, so they're not doing a lot of programs that are face-to-face, but they're doing programs on Zoom, and hopefully soon things will start opening up and you'll see programs that they are doing and bringing Israel into the culture. So Einav wanted to share about her special Chanukah, Chanukkiyah, her menorah. And so we will hear her story now.
My special menorah is one that I got from my bat mitzvah from a very good friend of mine. This Chanukkiyah is so special to me because it represents for me the beginning of a Jewish identity journey that happened and started during my bat mitzvah year.
It looks like it's time to check our answers on questions 7 and 8. But before we do, I'd like to thank one of our participants, Bacha, for making a correction that is absolutely correct. The shamash can either be at a higher level or separate than the other candles, but on the same level. So thank you very much for that correction. And that is a detail that is absolutely true. Question number 7. Hanukkah celebrates the victory of a small group of Jews led by Judah Maccabee over the Greeks. The Maccabees, after defeating the Greeks who turned the temple in Jerusalem to a Greek temple, rededicated the temple as a Jewish worship space. That is true. They did. And Hanukkah was the first war in known history where people fought for an idea, which was religious freedom, instead of for land and power. And that is quite a legacy. And our last question of the night, no matter where in the world you live, the dreidel, a gambling game long associated with Hanukkah, has the same four letters, Nun Gimel He Shin, which means a great miracle happened there. That is false, because if you live in Israel, a great miracle happened here, not there. So in Israel, the last letter is a pei, and it's different from the American or the diaspora dreidel. Now let's see how the group did, David. Can you show us how the responses were? 75 correct and 25 against 25. And the second one? Oh, very good. A lot of people knew that the dreidel in Israel is different than the one that we use. Great job to everybody who were playing from home.
Thank you, everybody. Now, oh, wait a minute. I'm getting a message, a quick message that we actually have a few more guests coming to join us tonight. They're not only coming from far away, they're coming from the land of Israel, and they time traveled to get here. I'm going to return things over to our JFGI News reporter, Iris Epstein.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Station JFGI. I'm reporting on the Jewish holiday of Hanukkah, but to be honest, I'm a bit confused. It's time, I understand, to put candles in the Hanukkah menorah, but I'm not sure how to do it. With us today are two rabbis who I hope will clear up this conundrum. It is my pleasure to introduce our guests, Rabbi Shammai and Rabbi Hillel. Welcome, rabbis. Let me start with you, Rav Shammai. I'm so glad you asked the question. I have the answer. The first night, fill the menorah with candles. 8 for the days of Hanukkah, plus of course the helper candle, the shamas. Each night light one less. So you start with the full menorah and each day reduce the light until Hanukkah ends. Thank you, Rabbi Shammai. That makes sense. If one considers the legend or the oil that miraculously lasted for 8 days, each day the amount of oil decreasing. Rabbi Hillel, how would you answer this question?
With due respect, Rabbi Shammai, I don't see it that way at all. I think we start with one candle the first night, plus of course the shamas, the helper candle. Each night you add another candle until, on the last night of Hanukkah, the menorah is full. That way, the joy and holiness of the holiday increases day to day.
Oh my, this doesn't really seem to answer my question. I wonder.
Do not worry. The answer was decided long ago in the Talmud. We light candles according to Hillel, so that on the 8th night of Hanukkah, our menorah is fully aglow.
Thank you, rabbis. I know I have the answer. Sorry, Shammai. It looks like Hillel is the winner of this debate. For Station JFGI, happy Hanukkah.
Thank you very much. That was wonderful. So in closing, I want to thank, we're not fully closing, but we are bringing this to a close. And I want to thank everybody who made this program possible. We've got our wonderful storytellers, Barbie, Hetty, and Einav, the Epstein family, Tali, Lila, Yael, Iris, and Brent, Sherry Rudovsky for offering to share her storytelling expertise with us. And of course, my colleagues, Marcia, Michelle, and David, making this special and a lot of fun. We want to ask you one more time for you to share with us. Tonight is the 5th night of Hanukkah, meaning we only have a few more nights to enjoy the warm goodness of fried foods. With this sense of urgency, we need to know, important question, what is the best way to enjoy our latkes while we sit by our menorahs and share stories like these? So our last Mentimeter question. You'll want to go to menti.com and enter the code listed at the top of the screen, and you can answer as many times as you like. The code is 345158. So David's going to open it up. Go ahead and enter. Sour cream seems to be getting the biggest answer right now. Smoked salmon. I hadn't thought of that. I have some in the freezer. Somebody's got a special sauce. We've got plain, salty. Definitely salt is a theme. Applesauce. Extra points if you make your own applesauce. Crispy is winning right now. Oh, we got brisket. Somebody's throwing up brisket. It's not up on the screen, but in the chat. The next day, that's what I had for lunch today, was warmed up latkes. So 30 more seconds, sweet potato latkes. Sour cream and crispier and sweet potato are like neck and neck on our word cloud. Ketchup, somebody threw ketchup into the chat. It's potatoes, it makes perfect sense. I have a cousin who, when he was a kid, ate ketchup with everything. Hot. We have not ketchup, so in response to the ketchup. So everybody's got their personal style. Even though our rabbis settled the candle lighting debate, it looks like the food debate is still alive and up for debate and discussion. So now we're going to turn our panelists, all of our panelists are going to go on gallery view. And together we are going to light our Chanukkiyot. I need to move my screen a little bit. I'm going to talk and do the blessing. And then the rest of our team is going to light their Chanukkiyot. Then we're going to bring up a virtual menorah. So this is a chance for us to all engage in the mitzvah together. I'll light the shamash. And I'm going to not sing for you all. My dad's on. He'll attest to the fact that I'm doing everybody a favor. Baruch atah Adonai. Wait, hold on. I'm having candle issues. Let's try this again. Okay. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kedishanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lahadlik ner shel Chanukah. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam she'asa nisim lavotenu v'yamim ha'hem b'zman hazeh. Thank you everybody for joining us tonight. I see the Epsteins are lighting. I can't see everybody lighting. I'm going to turn around and look. Beautiful. And then we're going to share one more fun thing that we found on the internet. David, I'm going to turn it over to you. Our virtual menorah. So I'm going to turn it over to David. I think, yep, he's going to light.
This is a great tool. We're going to light again. So it's great. You can choose whatever color you want. Barbie, you could choose all the orange candles if you wanted to. We can go that for you if you'd like.
Absolutely. Absolutely orange. Every one of them.
So we'll get orange in there, all 5. You can click through. And of course, the classic recite the blessings, just like if you watch the British Bake Off, bake the dough. And having already recited the blessing, we can go ahead and light.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kedishanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lahadlik ner shel Chanukah.
Amen. So the office safe menorah for anybody who's in the office now.
Great. If you live in a residence hall, this is the one when our kids go back to college. So thank you everybody for joining us tonight. We hope that the rest of your holiday is joyous and sweet and crispy and warm. And thanks for joining us and for sharing your story.